Humanity has always been captivated by the idea of living on distant worlds. Since the dawn of civilization, we have gazed at the night sky, imagining gods, monsters, and other fantastical beings residing on planets and moons far beyond Earth's boundaries. Today, this once mythic vision seems closer to reality than ever before. Rapid advances in aerospace technology, planetary science, and biological research challenge our traditional assumptions about where and how human life can exist. Yet the core question remains: what would it truly mean for someone to be born beyond Earth? From gravity's effects on bone structure to the chemical composition of an alien atmosphere, living on other planets or moons raises profound issues that transcend mere science fiction. In practice, each environment demands radical adaptations, some biological, others technological, all of which could alter the essence of what we call human. This text delves into the concept of being born off-world, examining the types of changes that would be required for human offspring to survive, grow, and thrive on such alien terrain. Focusing on various corners of our solar system and looking outward to exoplanets, we explore how different gravitational forces, atmospheric compositions, and levels of radiation might reshape not only our bodies, but also our societies, cultures, and sense of identity. Through these thought experiments, we gain deeper insight into our capacity for adaptation, a capacity that may be the key to our long-term survival. One of the most profound implications of being born on another planet is how it would redefine human. Historically, being human has always entailed living under Earth's blue skies, feeling the pull of its 1G gravity, and breathing its nitrogen-oxygen atmosphere. Once we imagine an individual growing up in drastically different conditions, whether under the low gravity of Mars or the crushing atmosphere of Venus, we see that the physical, psychological, and even philosophical dimensions of being human begin to shift. Environmental factors such as gravity, temperature extremes, atmospheric pressure, and radiation levels are pivotal. Each new environment effectively molds the human organism. On Earth, these factors shaped our evolutionary history, influencing bone density, muscle mass, skin pigmentation, and sensory capabilities. On alien worlds, these forces would likewise shape each bodily system, compelling new evolutionary paths if people were to live there across multiple generations. Birth on another planet is not purely biological. Society, culture, and community norms would also differ. On Earth, cultural practices surrounding birth, childhood, and education arise from a common environment. In an off-world colony, everything from architecture to daily routines would be reinvented. Even language could mutate to describe phenomena unique to a planet or moon. New cultural identities might develop, defining themselves primarily by planet of origin rather than Earth-based nationality. Ethically, deciding to raise children on a harsh planet or a space station highlights dilemmas about risk, consent, and long-term viability. Is it justifiable to birth humans into an environment they would find perilous, lacking Earth-like resources? Philosophically, if new subpopulations of humanity become physically distinct from Earth-based humans, we might question whether the species can remain cohesive. Will humanity fraction into multiple lineages with diverging destinies? Mars is widely considered the prime candidate for near-term human colonization because of its relative proximity to Earth, its stable, albeit thin, atmosphere, and its manageable gravity, roughly 38% that of Earth. Temperatures can be extremely cold, and the air is largely carbon dioxide, providing minimal resources for human respiration. Yet water ice does exist below the surface, and the day-slash-night cycle is somewhat akin to Earth's. One of the most dramatic differences a human child would experience growing up on Mars is the lower gravity. Over the long term, reduced gravitational stress affects skeletal growth. Children might grow taller, as their spines could elongate more easily in the lesser pull, and bones could lighten. The heart and circulatory system would adjust, possibly requiring less force to circulate blood. While beneficial for everyday movement, readapting to Earth's gravity might be challenging, as the body would not develop the robust density Earth-based humans take for granted. Mars's atmosphere is thin and composed primarily of CO2. Living organisms from Earth rely on oxygen, so advanced technology or significant biological adaptation would be essential. Early colonists may depend on sealed habitats and suits that recycle oxygen. Generations later, if humans persist on Mars, specialized lung structures or bioengineered enhancements could develop, theoretically enabling partial breathing in Martian conditions. However, the timeline for such radical adaptation would be extremely long and might also require gene editing or synthetic biology. The sunlight reaching Mars is less intense, partly because of greater distance from the sun and partly because dust storms block or scatter light. Children might develop larger pupils or new ways of processing dimmer wavelengths. Over many generations, Martian humans could see in lower lighting conditions, possibly even perceiving parts of the electromagnetic spectrum Earthbound humans cannot. While speculative, it underscores how environmental pressures guide sensory evolution. Without a robust magnetosphere like Earth's, Mars is bombarded by solar and cosmic radiation. Colonists must use shielding, dwell underground, or rely on heavy protective gear. Over multiple generations, if humans lived in these conditions, we might see changes in DNA repair mechanisms and skin pigmentation to counter radiation damage. A Martian child might be genetically predisposed to a more radiation-resistant physiology, providing an edge in these harsh surroundings. Should colonization succeed, Martian-born humans would not merely differ anatomically from Earth-based humans, they would also form distinct cultures. The challenges of limited water, reliance on advanced technology for survival, and dust-laden storms might shape values around resource conservation, community solidarity, and the art or rituals marking the transition from child to adult in this alien land. Over centuries, these cultural practices might diverge significantly from Earth norms, forging a Martian identity intimately connected to the Red Planet. Venus is often dubbed Earth's evil twin, due to its similar size but vastly different conditions. Surface temperatures soar above 460 degrees Celsius, atmospheric pressure is about 92 times that of Earth, and the air is full of carbon dioxide with toxic clouds of sulfuric acid. Humans cannot walk unprotected on the surface. However, some propose floating colonies in the temperate regions of the upper atmosphere or harnessing technology to mitigate the intense pressure. If, hypothetically, a human infant were to be gestated in a Venusian environment, the sheer atmospheric pressure might foster a species with much denser muscles and bones. Tissues would have to be extraordinarily resilient, thickening to withstand the relentless weight of Venusian air. This could generate short, compact bodies, minimizing surface area where the atmosphere exerts stress. Sulfuric acid-laden clouds would challenge all forms of organic matter. Over many generations, a Venus-adapted human might develop specialized skin or exoskeleton-like layers containing acid-neutralizing compounds. Additional protective coatings akin to chitin or reflective materials might emerge. Without advanced protective suits, any external contact with the environment would require near-superhuman tolerance for corrosive conditions, achieved through advanced biotechnology. Venus's atmosphere is nearly devoid of molecular oxygen. Surviving here would require advanced habitats producing oxygen, or extremely radical genetic/biomechanical modifications for extracting trace oxygen. Even floating in the cooler upper layers wouldn't remove the need for robust protective measures. Human physiology might incorporate symbiotic microorganisms designed for atmospheric processing, though that scenario is speculative, illustrating the extremes required for permanent adaptation. At the surface, Venus's heat is intense enough to melt lead. While living at high altitude might mitigate some temperature extremes, the planet overall presents a formidable thermal challenge. Offspring might develop an extraordinary thermoregulatory system, with a metabolism capable of shedding excess heat quickly, or possibly a reflective surface adaptation to divert solar energy. The comparison to Earthbound albinism is insufficient here. These hypothetical Venusians would require an entire suite of specialized features for heat dispersion. From a cultural standpoint, inhabitants of a hypothetical Venus colony would likely see themselves as ultimate survivors in a crucible that dwarfs Earth's harshest deserts. Fear would be an ever-present emotion, reminding them daily that a single suit malfunction or structural failure could prove fatal. But with that fear might come an equally intense sense of unity, security, and even pride. Over generations, these psychological nuances could mold a distinct society built around strict discipline, technological dependence, and communal resource sharing. Mercury rotates so slowly that a single day can last nearly 2 Earth months, creating prolonged exposure to intense heat on the day side and an equally severe freeze on the night side. This temperature fluctuation is one of the most extreme among planets, requiring extraordinary adaptability in any native-born human population to survive Mercury's blistering sunlight. Inhabitants might rely on reflective exteriors or genetically modified traits that allow for rapid thermal regulation. Over time, the population could develop thick insulating layers or specialized cells capable of storing or radiating heat as conditions change. Should these traits become hereditary, future Mercurians would find Earth's climate comparatively mild and uniform. Practical solutions for life on Mercury often mention underground settlements or the planetary terminator, the line between day and night, as relatively stable areas. Children born in subterranean habitats might have bone structures akin to Earth's, but they would seldom see direct sunlight. If they ventured outside regularly, further biological modifications could prove necessary. Because of the severity of conditions, Mercurian communities would be survivalist in nature. Cultures would evolve around meticulous resource management, resilience, and a reverence for the thin margin between life and death. This communal ethos might encourage more rigorous discipline than anything seen on Earth, forging a population that views adversity as a way of life. Mercury's extremes might also generate a set of spiritual or symbolic beliefs that revolve around the raw power of the sun or the solace of the night's chill. Children who grow up hearing legends of those lost to the scorching day or the frigid night might adopt a worldview emphasizing caution, humility, and the ever-present possibility of disaster. Over many generations, these values could congeal into the foundational myths and rituals of a mercurial culture. Jupiter and Saturn lack solid ground, presenting thick swirling clouds of hydrogen and helium. Any concept of being born in such an environment would revolve around floating habitats or advanced bioengineering that allows the body to function in midair. Over time, the human species might adapt to near-constant freefall. Floating in a low-gravity or near-weightless environment could yield people with dense bone structures or specialized internal sacs for buoyancy. A new physiology might regulate body weight in a fluid-like environment, minimizing the risk of tissue damage or vascular issues that can arise when gravity is no longer a constant downward force. The atmosphere of these gas giants features storms of unimaginable power, swirling with chemicals that could be toxic or corrosive. Humans may require a protective outer membrane or an advanced immune system resistant to exotic compounds. Meanwhile, eyesight or echolocation might evolve to help navigate the planet's dense, swirling clouds, offering a means to detect structures or colony platforms across a perpetually stormy horizon. Societies on Jupiter or Saturn might revolve around a sense of perpetual motion, stability found only on artificial floating stations, and a unique bond formed by defying nature's fury. Cultural myths could revolve around taming or appeasing planetary tempests, reinforcing community solidarity. Rituals might revolve around specific wind patterns or the passing of colossal storms, marking seasonal or generational milestones. Uranus and Neptune inhabit the distant edges of our solar system, receiving only a fraction of the sun's warmth. Their atmospheres, composed mainly of hydrogen, helium, and methane, are faintly illuminated, giving these planets a ghostly aesthetic. Any settlement or inhabitant would face not only extreme cold, but also the hazards of powerful winds and possible storms of icy compounds. Temperatures around -220 degrees Celsius or lower would require habitats of exceptional insulation. Over generations, if humans somehow adapted to these conditions in part, we might see radical changes in blood chemistry, enabling circulation and cellular respiration under near-permanent sub-zero circumstances. The protective layer of the body could be deeply pigmented or layered with new materials produced by modified skin cells. Similar to Jupiter and Saturn, Uranus and Neptune do not provide a stable surface. Subsurface oceans might exist, though under extreme pressure. Alternatively, floating cities in upper atmospheric layers might serve as stable vantage points. The hallmark of these societies would be an obsession with heat generation, insulation, and advanced radiation shielding, ensuring daily survival in a world locked in near-perpetual twilight. If born on Uranus or Neptune, children would grow up in a civilization shaped by scarcity and constant vigilance. These cultures might emphasize collective well-being above individual pursuits, forging a deep sense of unity and belonging that offsets the fear and isolation of such remote habitats. Over centuries, unique traditions, stories, and art forms would blossom out of this interplay of fragility and resilience, forging communities that see themselves as guardians of the far cosmic frontier. Moving beyond our solar system, exoplanets multiply the possibilities exponentially. In recent decades, astronomers have identified thousands of these distant worlds, ranging from scorching hot Jupiters to rocky super-Earths and watery ocean planets. Each setting could spawn a distinctive lineage of humanity, shaped by local gravitational fields, atmospheric compositions, and stellar radiation patterns. Proxima Centauri b, TRAPPIST-1e, and Kepler 452b stand out for their relative promise in terms of temperature, possible water presence, or Earth-like qualities. Yet each environment introduces novel challenges: stellar flares, tidal locking, extreme orbital periods, or alien geochemistry. For example, while TRAPPIST-1e resides in its star's habitable zone, the system's ultracool dwarf star might bathe the planet in radiation different from sunlight on Earth, altering what plants or photosynthetic processes could emerge and how human biology might respond. If humanity were to colonize many exoplanets, each environment would shape a different strand of evolution. After thousands of years, the differences could be so profound that a human from Kepler 442b might appear drastically at odds with a human from Earth or Proxima Centauri b. Genetic drift, selective pressures, and possibly deliberate genetic engineering would all accelerate this divergence, raising questions about the eventual unity or fracturing of the human species across galactic distances. Establishing birth on a far exoplanet inevitably blends scientific ambition with deep ethical considerations. The complexities of ensuring children survive in an alien environment would require robust oversight and moral dialogue. Would these colonies remain tethered to Earth's governance? Or might they develop as fully autonomous societies with separate social norms and legal frameworks? As such communities expand, they might also pioneer radical changes in governance, reflecting the singular demands of living countless light years away from human origins. Exoplanetary living likely depends on advanced terraforming or at least partial environment control. Over time, if natural selection alone is too slow or uncertain, humans might rely on genetic modification, adding traits to help them cope with local conditions. Improved radiation resistance, specialized respiratory organs, or higher tolerance for exotic atmospheric chemistry. Each step forward redefines the boundary between natural evolution and deliberate engineering, further questioning how we classify the term human. Long before Earth-based evolution can catch up, interstellar colonists might proactively alter their offspring's genes to match exoplanet demands. This planned adaptation merges biology and technology into a single process, effectively orchestrating the next phase of humanity's cosmic saga. While that approach could be extremely beneficial, controversies surrounding designer humans raise potential social rifts or unforeseen consequences. The line between adaptive necessity and manipulative hubris may remain blurred. In exoplanet colonies, existential threats could become the norm. Alien skies, unfamiliar day-night cycles, or constant storms might induce heightened anxiety or a longing for Earth's relative stability. Cultures that emerge may celebrate communal rituals to cope with isolation and to foster a deep-rooted sense of place. Artwork, storytelling, and spiritual traditions might revolve around local cosmic phenomena, forging a new cosmic identity that replaces Earth nostalgia with an authentic exoplanet bond. As exoplanetary communities evolve, the physical distance from Earth, possibly tens or hundreds of light years, could limit or end real-time communication. Future humankind may find itself split into multiple enclaves, each forging its own destiny under different stars. If contact remains sporadic, knowledge exchange might slow, or we might see brief pulses of cultural reunions whenever starships or advanced communication methods link these far-flung societies. Over epochs, these expansions might weave a tapestry of human civilization across the galaxy, each node bearing the uniqueness of its planetary cradle. Whether on Mars, Venus, Mercury, or exoplanets, each environment would push human biology to extremes. Initially, these adaptations might be purely technological, relying on suits, domes, and artificial life support. But over long spans, human bodies and cultures would either transform or perish. Adaptation might be partly evolutionary and partly engineered, driven by a desire to secure stable conditions for procreation. Low-gravity environments could impact human gestation, potentially influencing embryonic development. Internal organs, the skeletal system, and the child's ability to handle Earth-like gravity upon returning might all shift. In high-gravity worlds, the reverse holds. Children might be stockier, with stronger cardiovascular systems. Additionally, higher radiation levels in many cosmic locales threaten DNA integrity, possibly leading to shorter lifespans unless new protective measures or genetic resistances are developed. Brains might also undergo changes, influenced by new stimuli, atmospheric composition, or social structures. Spatial perception, balance, and sensory integration could diverge from Earth norms, potentially producing new modes of thinking and learning. In some cases, humans might develop heightened senses or improved abstract thinking to navigate bizarre landscapes or station-based living environments. Small populations face inbreeding risks, which intensify in remote colonies. Genetic diversity becomes an essential factor in ensuring healthy subsequent generations. Some enclaves might rely on artificial reproduction or gene banks to maintain variety, fostering an advanced medical and genetic culture that merges tradition and high-tech solutions. Over time, these efforts unify survival imperatives with deeper moral considerations about gene editing, designer traits, and long-term species health. As new bodily forms arise, cultural narratives, religions, and daily practices also evolve to incorporate them. The environment thus shapes biology, which in turn shapes culture, which then modifies how technology is used, further influencing biology, a cyclical synergy that continues as long as the colony endures. Over centuries, a truly distinct lineage might appear, physically divergent from Earth-based humans, yet entirely at home in an alien realm. If colonization expands, different groups will adapt to unique planetary conditions. The question becomes whether these divergences are mild or extreme. Over many millennia, specialized traits may produce separate branches of humanity, raising philosophical questions about interplanetary interactions and shared identity. Starting families off-world entails inherent risks. Children are born into environments that could harm them unless advanced solutions exist. This raises ethical dilemmas over consenting to conditions that cannot be fully understood by those yet to be born. Societies will debate the morality of forging life in precarious habitats versus the potential boon of spreading human civilization across multiple worlds. As humanity spreads, technology might become the great equalizer, bridging differences between Earth-based and alien-born humans. Common communication platforms, advanced medical tools, and robust travel networks could sustain mutual understanding. Alternatively, high-level technology might accelerate divergence if each colony tailors its technology to meet highly specific planetary challenges. At a grander scale, each off-world community could represent a distinct experiment in cosmic evolution. Just as Earth's biodiversity arises from countless ecological niches, so might humanity's cosmic expansion create a tapestry of human-derived forms, each adapted to a particular environment. Over eons, new species or subspecies might stand side by side in the cosmic pantheon, reminiscent of Darwin's finches, but on a galactic scale. Contemplating birth beyond Earth transcends standard colonization fantasies. It reveals how intimately life depends on external conditions, how plastic our biological potential might be, and how cultural evolution intertwines with ecological reality. Each scenario, whether on Mars, Venus, or across exoplanets, calls us to reconsider what being human truly entails. Humanity's capacity for innovation, from building robust shelters to potentially editing genes, stands as a testament to our resilience. Yet these solutions raise moral concerns, from biodiversity preservation to the ethics of engineering children for exotic habitats. In any case, survival in drastically alien environs would unify the concepts of fear, hope, vanity, and acceptance into a single continuum. Life at the brink, forging new expressions of existence as we gaze into the cosmos. The night sky brims with possibilities for growth, exploration, and even transformation at a cellular level. Confronting these challenges with wisdom and empathy may shape a cosmic destiny that goes beyond ephemeral technological progress, culminating in a fully realized, interplanetary civilization. Ultimately, this speculation invites each of us to dream bigger, to push frontiers, and to ponder the heights and depths humanity can reach.